The WNBA's top draft pick has brought attention to the pay disparity with the NBA.
The new media rights deal that can be negotiated can be life-changing for a lot of players in this league. I think the more eyeballs you can get on this league, the better off this world's going to be.
Throughout history, humanity has been trying to resolve a critical problem in our society. You see, Americans and the world really enjoy the game of basketball. They love watching LeBron James do insane tomahawk dunks at the age of 39. They love watching Steph Curry shoot incredibly deep three-pointers. They love watching Joel Embiid cry whenever he gets knocked out of the playoffs. Sorry, Sixers fans. So how can we bring that same passion and energy to the same sport, but with a completely different gender? A little bit more than the past 2 decades, the NBA has been trying to resolve this one issue. And it seems like we're getting close, but people once again are angry at how the NBA is going about things. So before we get to the content, we are on a crusade to get to 1 million subscribers. We're less than 100K subs away, and now that we get all that out of the way, do the intro. We always make such good money every time PrizePicks does this. All Nikola Jokic needs is 1 point on Game 2 of the first round of the Western Conference playoffs, and his square automatically hits, which means we only need to get 1 pick right in order to triple our money. So in order to do this, make sure you go to PrizePicks, create an account, and use my promo code FlightMike to get up to $100 of your deposit matched, or alternatively, click on the link in the description down below. And here are some additional players that you could pair with Jokic. TJ McConnell's a favorite. He only needs more than 11.5 points. He's easily gone over this over the past 5 games that he's played. You could also select Bradley Beal to go over 17.5 points. But personally, I'm not going to make my pick until Monday. I'm going to post my picks onto my Instagram story, and I give away my picks for free on my Instagram story. So make sure you sign up for PrizePicks using my promo code FlightMike to double your deposit, and then follow me on Instagram at @TheFlightMike for free picks. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? We've been trying to figure out the resolution to this problem for quite some time. You see, the WNBA has always had this reputation for just being a very product. Now, it's been very boring to watch, and don't get me wrong, I would love for the WNBA to make it, and it seems like they're on the way there. More on that later. But throughout the past decade, you would see Hall of Fame NBA players giving their take on what it's going to take for the WNBA to become more interesting. And the most notorious one was one that WNBA stars absolutely despised.
Years ago, the WNBA game was here. NBA game is here. Now it's here. I have a way to make it equal. Just listen to me now. You ready?
All right.
We've heard it.
Yeah, we've.
So in beach volleyball, the women's net is maybe half an inch lower. You think if we just lower the rim so y'all could dunk like we dunk, that'll give y'all more oomph than you already have?
No.
I mean, because listen, y'all are doing the step backs, the pull backs. Y'all doing everything we're doing, but I don't see a lot of people going up with 2 hands and, back.
Oh, it's coming. Opportunity is a.
So you don't think if we just drop it to 9, 10
Nah,
and a half?
I guarantee.
Flash?
Layla, she's into dance, but my next child will be drop step dunking. I promise.
I'm still thinking about that move
Telling
that
you.
Coop used and stationary in and out to the pull-up.
And this wouldn't be the first time that a NBA legend suggested that the WNBA should consider lowering the rim for the sake of allowing more women to dunk, which would make the product a little bit more fascinating, I will admit. But since WNBA players want to play at the same tier and the same level as NBA stars, they seem very close-minded to this idea. A few years before this went down, Wnba was asked the same question: should the WNBA lower the rim? And this was her response.
Probably one of the most offensive questions you can ask a WNBA player. And I'm not trying to read you right now. I'm just trying to get you to understand why it's not logical to ask us to do that. So we're constantly being compared to men. We have people excelling at a 10-foot rim. And now you want us to lower the rim so we can continually be compared, only to still be criticized because now you have someone like me who has done what she's done. Now I have to relearn the game to appease people who don't want to watch it for what it is.
How about that?
You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, go to a game first. before deciding.
And of course, who could forget the time Tracy McGrady suggested to Breanna Stewart that the WNBA lowers the rim, only for her to react like this.
I mean, my thought on it is, I've been playing basketball on a 10-foot hoop my whole life. So to move it to 9.5, it's going to take a long time to get used to that. And then also, we're only playing basketball to dunk? I'm not sure.
No, you playing to...
you just want to see me dunk on somebody? I don't know.
Aside from the clear lack of interest in the WNBA until recently, there's also another issue that was handcuffed to this exact same problem. The fact that WNBA players felt like they deserved to get paid more. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, the WNBA runs for about 30 plus games during the summertime when the NBA isn't in season. So the average WNBA season goes for about 3 months, and it's completely subsidized by the NBA, meaning that it's not a profitable league at all whatsoever. And I always felt like that was a very temporary thing because the WNBA is still in its infancy. If I had to draw a parallel to where the WNBA is using the eras from the NBA, I would say they're currently in the Bill Russell era, more towards the 70s almost. It's clearly forming some stars that will get fans to pay more attention to the product, and we saw that in the NCAA Women's College Basketball Tournament, especially in its national championship game that drew a viewership over 18 million viewers, primarily because people wanted to see Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese go at one another. But as a result of the WNBA making no money and the NBA essentially subsidizing the entire league because they feel like one day this league can make money, the players don't get paid as much as some people feel like they should, which results into some very questionable takes even from its own players. I mean, 2 years ago, Kelsey Plum said this.
You're not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's crazy. In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue shared for the players, right? So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts, you see these every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah, massive.
But that's because their CBA, it negotiates where if the owners are making certain types of money, they get that as well.
Got it.
In the WNBA, that's not the case.
And you don't have to have an MBA to understand why this is a terrible take, because the narrative is that WNBA players are underpaid. The reality is that the NBA generates 167 times the revenue of the WNBA, but NBA players only earn 93 times the average that the WNBA player does, which is exactly the case. The WNBA made $60 million in revenue last year, which, by the way, is a loss for the NBA. The NBA made $10 billion in revenue last year. The average salary for the average basketball player is $9.6 million, whereas the average salary for a WNBA player is $102,751. Now look, that amount can rise, and I have no problem with that amount going up. I would love to see the WNBA succeed, but in order for that number to rise, the WNBA has to become more interesting. Fortunately, they're on their path there. So why am I making this video? Well, Caitlin Clark officially became the WNBA's #1 overall pick this past week, and fans are upset because of her salary. It's very interesting because Caitlin Clark was dressed up in a Prada suit, and she was the first WNBA or NBA player to ever do that. But then her contract goes absolutely viral because she's apparently not getting paid enough for her services. Her contract is 4 years, $338,000. In 2024, she's making $76K. In 2025, she's making $78K. In 2026, she's making $85K. And in 2027, she's making $97,582. Now, people are obviously upset about this, considering the amount of viewership that Caitlin Clark was able to bring in. And probably my favorite turn of this entire situation is the fact that there was a job post saying you could get paid $140K to $160K a year if you wanted to be the events lead at the WNBA. But again, Caitlin Clark is getting paid this amount for playing 40 games in an entire regular season. So this is literally for 3 months of work. You're not really full-time once you are in the WNBA. So getting paid that amount for about 3 months work is a pretty solid job. But it's really funny how people are cherry picking statistics for this particular thing. Probably my favorite take on the matter is from basketball genius Joseph Biden, who said, right now we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share, which is a very frustrating take because the WNBA still isn't profitable. Look, I understand it could be frustrating that Caitlin Clark gets $76,000 in base salary and Victor Wembanyama gets paid $12.2 million in salary. And I understand that this salary could be very frustrating for some women, but I think this is something that should be celebrated because it looks like Caitlin Clark could be the individual that changes everything for the WNBA. I mean, she's already broken scoring and viewership records in college basketball. People are now interested in watching her play, which is huge for the sport. And progress is actually being made in the realm of women's basketball currently. I mean, if you look at the 2020 collective bargaining agreement, max salaries have doubled, total cash compensation went up to $500,000. The agreement included provisions for basic hotel accommodations, women's health care, and maternity benefits. Things are trending upward, but you're not going to get paid more by sitting there and stamping your feet and saying,
it's not fair. Women don't get paid as much as men.
In a league that isn't generating as much revenue as the men's league. But creating stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is definitely a step in the right direction. And even further compounding this fact is none other than the fact that Caitlin Clark just signed a huge shoe deal with Nike, which according to Shams Charania is said to be over $20 million. Truly generational money for any female in sports. So if you're frustrated in regards to the state of women's sports and how much these WNBA athletes are being paid, just pay attention to the progress that is currently being made. Rome wasn't built in a day. It may take another couple of years, but if you told me 2 years ago that there was a WNBA star that was going to get paid above $20 million to be sponsored by Nike, I wouldn't believe you. So the fact that such a star exists should give optimism to basketball fans and WNBA fans everywhere. I mean, I wasn't watching the women's college basketball championship 3 years ago. Now I have for the past 2 years. So let me know in the comment section down below, how do you guys feel about this? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.